What I love about tutorials in a place where I actually have my own apps on the App Store is that there are always those little nuggets of knowledge you can actually just learn and apply to your real life projects. So in this case, Sean is talking about cache, and he, I think, explained it really well how to actually implement it. And it turns out that in Bookie I had the same issue with loading book lists from discovery page. And I guess this is like the best way to actually solve my problem with always hitting the server. Simple cache. And now I know how to implement it, so that's great. And I think that's the best use case to use tutorials to solve your own issues.
Hence, the question of this episode is gonna be, where and how exactly do I come up with ideas for my features or updates to all of my apps? So without further ado, let's jump into it.
Everything starts in here. So this is my notebook. I jot down here my ideas for pretty much everything. I take notes on also pretty much everything I stumble upon, the most random inspiration I've encountered. And every couple of pages there are these sections: app name and to do. In those areas, I try to summarize the past notes and then create a big to-do list for all of my features, for all of my bugs. And I guess this workflow is working for me. It's how I've been working since 2021, and I really like it. Actually, this is my 5th or 7th notebook. I switch between them every couple of months, and this is great. And this works for me. I know not many of us would prefer pen and paper because you still have to carry around a pretty chunky notebook. But other than that, I think this is one of the most amazing things I discovered and implemented into my workflow. Before we move on to other methods and other ways I get inspired and get ideas for my features and updates, let's talk about progress for this week. There's been a huge update to memorize. Again, 3rd week in a row or something like that. Gained a lot of new functionalities. So the first one is, like I said, a new way of showing layout interface. So you can simply click here and there is this little sheet at the bottom. There are tags, and tags are insane. Honestly, it's like one of my favorites. So when you are adding a new card, so this is a new card sheet, at the bottom there is a button to add a new card, and now also tags. And tags are sliding up from a custom popover, custom overlay. And here you can select tags you already have or add a new one, and a new tag can be added just like that. You can freeze this field just like any other field. And what freezing means is that when you add this card, it gets added, but then the fields that are frozen stay the same. So if we unfreeze tags, for example, and click add, now tags will be resetted, so none of them are highlighted. And that's okay, that's okay. But where do tags shine the most? If we go to a custom review, this is one of the places. So as you can see here, there is a review mode. Here you can select text, but also you can filter by tags. But I didn't stop there. Now you can also open Vision OS, and let's wait a second. And in here you get a 3rd column on the left, where you can see all of your text and all of your tags as well. And you can just filter your whole library of cards with this simple interface. However, on the iPhone, you can just simply go to Browse and then obviously search by name of the card. And then there are the results. But also you can enter a hash symbol and a list of all possible tags will appear. and you can just click, 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 click. When it comes to Bookie, I added a lot of fixes to onboarding. I was struggling with app submissions for iOS. Essentially, I had to remove my app from China mainland because there were some issues related to content publishing and content distribution, which Bookie actually doesn't distribute any content, but I understand why it may seem like it. And I added those average ratings. Then if you go to a challenge, you can see how many books you read and then what's the average rating. Now let's get back and discover new ways I come up with ideas. And I'm back at the car, but don't worry, I don't plan on recording in the car much, but I was at the gym and I got an email from Apple that they opened submissions for Swift Student Challenge. So we are supposed to submit our projects by February 25th. So that gives me 3 weeks in total to sort this whole thing out. I'm gonna publish it probably by like 14th or maybe 15th. So that gives me 10 days. Like the first thing on my to-do list regarding that would be implementing notifications. And secondly, finally making an app icon. And also I'll have to find a way to implement calendar view, because those 3 things are like the main drivers, I guess, of the whole thing. But regardless of that, there's one thing I haven't mentioned, and that is... And it's a complete redesign to Coffee Note. Look, the thing is, Coffee Note was released back in April last year, and I haven't done much since then. It doesn't move, like literally, no one downloads it. I just wanna kind of rebuild it from the ground up. I have a couple of features I'd like to add because last week I was coming up with all those ideas and I have a full page of them, and I think Coffee Note will be my main focus for March or April, I think. Alright, enough updates, and now let's back to the main idea of this video. So we talked about where do I keep my ideas and how I plan new releases, but where do ideas actually come from? We still didn't cover that, so let's talk about it now. There are 3 main areas. First is my head, because, well, I'm the one who creates this app, so I'm also the one who imagines the most part of the app. Secondly, there is ChatGPT, and let's not kid ourselves, everyone uses ChatGPT. And honestly, I believe that ChatGPT is one of the best tools for creativity. How I use ChatGPT is actually quite different from what I've seen online. So instead of writing like, okay, now give me ideas for this app, I describe like use cases of my app, target group, and then I ask ChatGPT to come up with ideas that would be most suitable for this target, for this purpose. So they are not like bland ideas, but more specific ones. And last element of it all is actually competition. And I'm a person who spends like a bunch of time downloading apps of competition and just browsing them, looking for those ways they can be improved and then applying it to my own apps. For each one of my apps, I have like 5 to 10 different apps of competition. The way I'm doing it is browsing everything, just trying to get around and get an idea of the app. Then I take screenshots and group them by feature. And it all sounds really confusing, and it's really hard to explain the whole process. But what I'm trying to say is I'm not copying the competition, noting areas they can be improved, and then I try to find a way that will solve the issue in a way that is enjoyable for me, that if I were the user, I would appreciate if the app would behave like that. And I think it's really cool that us developers can have this control over the final app. Obviously, there are points in our lives that we get frustrated at others' app, but also there are moments like, hey, this app sucks, I can do it much better. And I believe this is amazing. If you are passionate about your project and you see a real way to solve the issue you encounter using the other app, this is the best place for you to actually build your app, because you're, first of all, passionate. Secondly, you want to do it. And then you have obviously some ideas to solve the issue. Coming back to the top, all three parts of the process, so ChatGPT, my head, and also competition, kind of mix together and create a final project. And it's not only for new ideas, for new app ideas, but also to, updates or maybe features or maybe things I'd like to change in design of my apps. So everything can be influenced by all those three factors. And yeah, hope you like my process. Let me know what you think about it. Follow me on Twitter, subscribe to my channel, and tell me in the comments down below what you think about how I try to come up with ideas for my apps and features. And I'll see you guys next week.